Hello and welcome back to Bells and Bloodshed, the one and only podcast about all things true crime, paranormal, etc. I am Lindsay,
I'm Bailey. Welcome back.
and we post every Sunday on YouTube and Spotify, so please check us out.
But don't ask us the time because it's been fluctuating the past couple of
Yeah,
weeks.
it has been fluctuating. However, keep in mind there's been holidays, and we've both been really busy with personal things. Nothing like bad, just busy.
I'm getting married.
She is getting married.
It's a lot.
And, didn't you just close on a home?
Close on a home, and you're about to probably close on your home.
Possibly. We might close on a home if everything goes well. Fingers crossed. However, this week, I'm very excited. We are going to be talking about a case that is one of my all-time favorites, and I think it's just an amazing story. And, I mean, it's not like a story, it's a real thing, but I think it's just a really amazing story. As far as like about the person and everything. So this week we're talking about the case of Kara Robinson, and just a little like trigger warning: it is going to talk about sexual assault and forced drug use, as well as physical restraints. So just keep that in mind. Watch with caution, if you will. But we kind of talked a little bit about our personal life. But let's do some sweet tea time, and Bailey, you can start.
I was going to recommend you start first.
Well, I'm recommending you start.
No, you start.
Okay, fine, I guess. Okay, so my sweet tea time. So I've been in physical therapy. That is never fun, and I am awaiting an MRI arthrogram to figure out all of my options for surgery. Which, at this point, we pretty much know I'm going to get surgery. We just don't know which surgery we're going to do.
Where's your brace?
Anyways, well, that is a great question. However, another part of my sweet tea time is that I am planning a very special bridal shower that is coming up next week for someone named Bailey. Oh, it's you.
Oh, it's me, yeah.
Surprise!
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Any other sweet tea time for you?
Me and Caden have been on the hunt for a home for a while. And while we have not closed yet, we might be getting really close to closing, actually, by the time this episode goes out. But we found one we really like, and so far, so good.
And if it works out, she'll be 2 minutes away from me.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Our poor husbands.
So why don't you talk about your sweet tea time?
Okay. Mine, we just closed on our home. We did that Monday this past week, and my fiance is slowly moving his stuff into the home, so I'll be getting ready to start packing my stuff away, but moving in after the wedding. So we'll be doing a lot of that. It's getting closer to the end of school.
Praise Thank the Lord.
We have state testing coming up next week, next week, and that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with, and it's 3 hours keeping them in a room with the state test in front of them. You can't have any iPhones, no watches, no nothing in there. You have to have that all put away.
Let me teach you how to crochet so you have something to do.
You have to walk around and watch the test the entire time. And you can't
boring.
Even sit. But the kids, after the test, they can go to sleep, of course. But yeah, we have that coming up. I'm counting on the days till that's over with. But close on a house, getting ready for all that. Wedding is, I don't know how many
swiftly
days.
Approaching.
It's approaching. It's
like a month and a half.
It's getting here quicker and quicker, and I keep thinking like, oh, it'll be a while, but it's getting here very fast.
It ain't a while. It's close.
No, it's getting up quick. So I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, that's my little sweet tea time, and looking forward to what's coming up ahead. Maybe we can do more episodes where it'll be in a new location. New locations, plural. Okay.
Also, drop some ideas for the Bells and Banter.
Yes, I was just about to ask you about that.
We should just start doing it, because I feel like that'd be short. That wouldn't be like as long as these cases. It would be like a quick little 15-20 minute like hot take of the week, like tips for looking for the right one, red flags. things like that. Because I mean, I
Which
feel
we
like
can definitely be talking about some red flags.
I mean, I feel like we could. I mean, I'm married, and like
Yeah.
in all honesty, I mean, I know everybody on social media is like, "Oh my gosh, my husband's so amazing," but like my marriage is actually really good in my opinion. So I feel like I could give some advice, and you're about to be married, and your relationship's good. I mean, so if you want some advice, hit me up. However, we'll try not to keep you here all day. So let's start off with our case. So, like I said, this is the Kara Robinson case. And this is like one of my favorite things. And I have the utmost respect and admiration for Kara. So, starting off on June 24th, 2002, the year Moi was born. Let me just add that.
A child.
Kara Robinson, 15-year-old. She was 15 years old. Sorry. 15-year-old Kara Robinson was out watering the plants at her friend's house. She was helping her do some chores because they had plans to go, I guess, to the lake later with their friends and Kara's boyfriend. So she was outside of the home watering plants. Anyways, it seemed, normal day, whatever. And a guy pulls up in a Trans Am car and basically said, hey, I got some magazines, whatever. And the girl's like, oh, well, the parents aren't home. And he was like, oh, well, can you just take them? She said, sure, Goes up, steps up to grab the magazines from this guy, feels a cold gun on her neck.
Oh my God.
He said, I think you better come with me. Or, quoted, he said, why don't you come with me? He then walked her to his car with the gun on her and forced her into a plastic storage bin in his back seat. It gets worse. So this guy, he was a 38-year-old man, and his name was Richard Ivanitz. We'll start with that. So Ivanitz took Kara to his apartment, and like I said, trigger warning, and he gagged and restrained her before bringing her inside, and then he raped her and forced her to smoke marijuana and tied her to his bed. Then, throughout this entirety of the time, he is continuously raping her and just, it's not a good, it's a bad situation. However, that night he saw the news about the fact that Kara was missing. And then he tied another contraption to her, and it was like a homemade contraption that kept her legs spread. And of course, I'm sure he, took advantage of her again. However, the thing about this case that makes it different is that Kara is a survivor. Yeah. And she became a force of nature in this circumstance. And, this is the kind of circumstance that a lot of people, after experiencing something like that, they would just kind of shut down and be like, I'm ready to go. Not Kara. She said, I am gonna, get my way out of this. I'm gonna survive, and I'm gonna put a stop to this man. So, from the very beginning of this situation, she was like, I just got to gather information. So she remembered like almost every detail that she could from this experience. So she remembered the serial number on the storage container that he kept her in.
Oh my gosh.
She noted all the animals he owned, the type of cigarettes her captor smoked. She noted that there were strands of long red hair in a hairbrush she saw. And she even
really took into like a lot of
yeah,
detail.
I mean, she even like kept track of like the direction of which the blinds were, or the window was facing the street, the magnets on the refrigerator, everything. So she kept calm. She acted compliant. She like kind of made him think that she was okay with her situation almost, because like she was asking him questions, talking to him. She even offered to help clean his apartment.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, and while she was
but
doing
also
this,
very smart at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, while she was doing this, she made a mental map of his apartment. Was identifying his weaknesses, finding out who this person was, and created a plan to escape, and even read his mail, in which she found out a lot of crucial information. So what she found out was, he was Richard Evonitz. He was a retired Navy veteran. He worked at an air compressor company. And he also happened to be married.
Mm.
However, the wife was away, I think, on a trip or something like that.
Okay.
He wasn't she wasn't there, obviously. So, after 18 hours of being with this man,
Mm-hmm.
he fell asleep. And keep in mind, they were smoking marijuana, so I guess he fell asleep pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And she used her teeth to free herself from the restraints. And it was like fuzzy handcuffs and rope and stuff like that. So she used her teeth to free herself from her restraints. She tiptoed out of the apartment and then she ran outside of the apartment complex and flagged down a car with two men inside.
That could have easily turned into something else,
Yeah,
too.
and she said, well, I thought that too, but, genuinely, I'd say out of the population, like statistically, you're more, hopefully you would be more likely to not come across a rapist than to come across a rapist.
Mm-hmm.
But she said, and I quote, "My name is Kara Robinson. I was kidnapped and I just escaped from that apartment." And she showed them the apartment and she made them remember the apartment. So, the two men, they were like, "Oh my gosh," took her to the police department. And that was really all for the two men. However, she got to the station. Most people would, as soon as they get the freedom, they'd probably just shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Not Kara. She got there and she gave a full breakdown of the entire incident, all the information she had, everything. That gave police enough evidence to, get on it and also make a photo lineup in which Kara identified him while she was receiving treatment in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So, following that, police obviously went and searched his apartment and they even pulled fibers from the handcuffs on Kara's wrist, which they ended up matching to 3 unsolved murder cases.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That could have been dealt so much worse.
Yeah, and they also found a matching handprint from inside of Ivanitz's car trunk that also matched, an unsolved murder victim. So they searched his apartment and his computer and they found nude photos of young girls, a very large amount of pornographic images and videotapes of children,
That just makes me sick.
a video of Ivanitz molesting a young girl, and a video of him masturbating to Polaroid photos of children. And, like I said, they got all this evidence and he was, directly linked. Like he was fully convicted, or, not fully convicted because there's more of that story, but he was directly linked to 3 unsolved murders. Which, it's good and bad because, of course, Kara thought this man was just awful. It turns out he was a serial killer that she survived. Because keep in mind, while he's directly linked to these 3 unsolved murders, he ended up, calling his sister after Kara escaped. And he basically told her, he went on the run. He left the apartment because when police got there to search it, he was gone. This started a full on manhunt. He called his sister, Jennifer, on June 27th, 2002. So this was like 3 days after, Kara had been kidnapped and then like a day after she escaped. But he admitted to committing more crimes than he could remember. And he asked his sister to meet him at an IHOP in Jacksonville, Florida. So, instead of her meeting him, she turned him into the police like a good citizen. And later that day, police surrounded Ivanitz in Sarasota, Florida. He led them on a high-speed chase, and they tried to get him to surrender and peacefully exit the situation. I mean, yeah, he would have went to jail, but they wouldn't have killed him. But he instead killed himself. He shot himself. Yeah, so I mean, he knew. But Kara actually ended up reporting being angry at his death. She claimed she wanted a chance at redemption and for him to see her in the courtroom and know that she was his downfall. However, this is not the end of the story. Kara not only saved herself from a situation most wouldn't survive, but she ended up providing closure to these other families and investigators haunted by, Ivanitz's evil by allowing that evidence that she presented to, be linked. And of course, if she wouldn't have survived, who knows, how much more damage this man would have done. And after this, Cara did go on to get married, and she joined law enforcement and served her community. She is currently the mother to 3 children, and after working in law enforcement for a while, she uses her experience not only in law enforcement, but of course what she went through to work with. She speaks with groups around the country and victims, and she educates those who works with victims and empowers survivors. You know, showing that their experiences don't define them. She said, I think she said something along the lines, because I read like her actual website, along the lines of like, it can motivate you, but it shouldn't define you, or something, or it can empower you, but it shouldn't define you. I can't remember the exact words, but it was something along those lines. But Cara turned her pain into power, and she's helped a lot of people, get past something that they experience. And what she went through was terrible, but I love this story, or I love like this case, because even though I hate what Cara went through, I'm glad that she put a stop to this man. And I really do think it's like a true story of, not only resilience, but like intelligence and also compassion, because she took that experience, something that most people want to forget, and turned it into something that could help others. So, like I said, I have nothing but respect and admiration for her, and there is actually a movie about this.
Yeah.
On Lifetime, and it is so good.
It is really good.
Have you seen it?
I've seen like maybe little bits and pieces of it.
It's called The Girl Who Survived.
Yeah, the girl. Yeah.
But anyways, that was so crazy. Girl, she's trying to see her wedding stuff. But that's like one of those cases that it just has so many like loops and twists and turns. Because it's like, you don't know if she's going to survive. Most people don't. And then, at first you think it's just some sicko. But then you realize, this is a full-blown serial killer. Because, like I said, he was directly linked to 3 bodies. Directly. Whatever. But they found so much stuff that couldn't be directly linked to somebody, but it was a lot. And realistically, he probably committed a lot more, he probably killed a lot more people.
Heinous acts, too.
Yeah, it's terrible. But, I feel like this is one of those, even though it is like a good true crime case, it's also somewhat of a happy ending. It's not happy what she went through, but it is, happy that she didn't let that define her life. It's happy that, of course, she survived. So I think, it's good to mix it up and show like a good story of, resilience, empowerment, etc. So that was the case of Cara Robinson.
That it was really bad in the beginning.
Yeah,
and then it had a really good ending, but for a lot of people, they don't have a good ending.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like I remember hearing about this, and whenever you mentioned her, and I was like, wait, why have I heard about this? And the case is so well familiar. But yeah,
you can get her to come speak. Like I would so get her to come speak at work, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot of money.
Oh, 100%. She has a Lifetime movie made about her. She's
got way more than that movie though. Like that, Lifetime's like the cinematic, where they like acted out, It wasn't like a documentary, but she's got endless documentaries.
Yeah, so she's probably making.
Oh, she's making the bank.
But still, making bank from an awful tragedy.
That's probably why she ain't doing law enforcement no more. She was tired of that shift work. And I bet you she started doing them documentaries and stuff and getting that money, and she was like, see ya. But she still, she still works. Like, she has, like, basically her own, like, platform and everything that, she goes and talks to people all over the country. And, she's on the go all the time, so.
Yeah. I definitely think she would be good to come and talk to, like, any type of school or something just about, I don't know, how to protect yourself.
If we ever have an event, at work that would work out to where she'd be, an applicable speaker, I would literally do anything and everything to get her there.
Yeah, I would. With her being so well known and liked from.
And like since that case happened in 2002, I feel like a lot of like, middle-aged people and stuff, they like people that were, young adults, teenagers during that time who probably remember when that case was like happening, they would probably be super apt to like come and see her and hear her speak. So, Cara Robinson, I think you're literally amazing. And if you want to come speak at a community college,
Hit
hit
her
me
up.
up and I
Hit
will
her
give
up.
you the deets.
Yeah, I think she'd really like that.
Yeah. By the way, I'm the director of safety. So if you're wondering why
That's
I would be
why.
getting her to speak at my work, that's why. I've said it
Yeah.
before, but I'll say it again.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
That was this week's case, and I think we will be coming out with some new developments in the future. I think after this, I'm talking to you in more detail. Anyway, that's it, guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
bye.